Must be. Welcome to the Mark Winsor Show. After that song, the extended version of The Who, is that what you said? Holy moly.
That was like incredible, wasn't it?
It was like somebody had broken into the studio and that was the alarm going on.
That's what I thought it was.
Every once in a while, we get a guest who afterwards we get a lot of people want him back. That happens at times. And we now
Too bad we couldn't have one tonight, though.
Isn't he the rudest?
He's one of the rudest.
But we have Don instead.
Isn't that the rudest thing that he could have said? I thought it was only me he picked on, but
oh no.
No, my co-host Tom Diller, welcome for joining me again,
thank
Tom.
You. Yep.
And Joe, I always appreciate you producing the show and getting it up and getting all the cameras focused correctly, because I don't think they are yet, but you're working on that.
They are. They're looking very good. You're looking fresh today, Mark.
Looking very shiny there, Mark.
There we go. Yeah, like a turtle, a bald turtle is what we go for with this look. And I forgot my my little earplug, so I've got the normal big.
I like that look better.
You like
though.
that look?
I do. It's very
a lot more professional.
Very Disneyland.
You know, it's all looks I can take, because my little earphones work just as well.
No, you look like a pilot. Actually, you look like a 747 pilot. After you slam back a couple of Jack and Cokes.
I was thinking TWA.
TWA, there you go. Exactly.
Dawn, as we wade through all of that, welcome to our show again.
Thank you.
You know, Dawn is with Go Clean Credit, and we had, how long ago was it, Dawn, that we had you on? A couple months?
About 2 months.
About 2 months ago. And I've had numerous people asking me about your show and wanting to listen to it again, and so I thought, let's just get you on again. It's especially since there's been some changes and additional things that you now can accomplish that you told me about right before the show started. Mm-hmm. So again, welcome our listeners. We appreciate you. This is great radio here, because it's radio worth watching. So if you're on your computer, you can click a button and actually watch us talk as well as listen, and see the websites we direct you to and things like that. So great opportunity for you. And fewer commercials. We'll take a little commercial break in the middle, but all in all, oh yeah, we got new lights. Joe's going to
What's up with that?
What's up
Joe's
with the
going
lights?
to turn on our new lights. Now, watchers, those who are watching the show, watch my head. There, did you see that? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I do now. Holy moly.
I'm just saying.
Couple thousand
that sharpens it up a little bit, doesn't it?
That's true HD right there.
There it goes, right there.
Take that mic and just pull up from here, just up a little. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect.
Got it.
So, the questions that I get a lot at my office is, I'm going through some financial hard times. Am I ruined forever? I mean, I had that this morning with the client I said has more troubles, and don't say what the troubles are, but I didn't say who he was, of course, but sometimes I have clients who have a lot of troubles that go beyond just the financial. But one of his concerns was, man, will I ever get clean credit again?
Yes, absolutely.
How?
Well, time is the biggest friend for getting new credit, or reestablishing your credit. You do need to reestablish positive credit. And then there are things you can do to actually try to clean it up yourself. There's actually a lot of things you can do.
Well, for example, when we say clean up, years ago I had a company approach me, and I used them a few times, then found out that they were just scamming type companies. What they would do is send out letters to the three credit bureaus, which anybody can do, and if the credit bureaus don't, or if the creditor, then the credit bureau send it on to the creditor. If they don't get a confirmation back within 30 days, it falls off.
Right.
But what we found out, that was just temporary. It would fall off, and then a few months later it would be back.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Well, what do you guys do? So if somebody comes to you, with some credit challenges, we know time. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But what do they do? I mean, what do you do? What do they do to clean up their credit?
Well, the first thing we do is we sit down with them with a free consultation, and it will take between a half hour and 2 hours. I mean, it really depends on what the situation is and how much there is to do. But we don't only look at, so 35% of the credit score is being attacked by disputing, which is the process of basically credit repair, which I'll get back to. But the other 65% is credit history, length of credit history. It's your revolving balances. It's all these other items that you can, so we look at the whole picture.
Is there ever mistakes in that kind of stuff?
Always.
Always.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, I guess,
always.
is identify where there's mistakes
Yeah.
in the other 2/3 and fix some of that stuff.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of mistakes in the reporting of the
1/3 as well.
Of the 1/3. Oh yeah.
Is it still free to get your credit report? I know at one point they were announcing that everywhere. Can you still get it to look at it? So if somebody wanted to look at the credit report, because you just said there's a lot of mistakes, can they pull it up right now? How do they pull it up?
So credit report is free. Credit score is not. If you want to just see your credit report, the best place to go is just annualcreditreport.com, and that is free once a year. The monitoring,
And without the score,
sites
is that good enough? Because you'll see if something's delinquent, you're going to know that's lowered your score a little bit. So you don't really need to see the score on the onset. You just need to see that everything's
Right.
correct, or things that are on there are actually yours and not somebody else's.
Ideally, you check at least once a year. Just get your free credit report and take a look and find out, because there are mistakes in your name, mistakes in your addresses, mistakes. I've seen credit reports with 4 social security numbers.
I've seen them with several, never
yeah.
4, but I've seen them with several.
Yeah, and a lot of it, the first thing we do actually is to correct the personal information, because it leads to mixed files. It leads to erroneous, basically files getting mixed up and information that's not yours getting on your credit report. So you really have to look at, you don't just say, oh, yeah, it's misspelled, my name's misspelled. No, you have to go and you have to fix it. You have to send in your identity information to the bureaus, but you need to fix it because it just leads to more errors.
You're not talking about Tom, Thomas, Tommy, that type of thing. You're talking about like my last name, Diller, D-I-L-L-A-R instead of E-R. That's an issue.
Right.
But having the AKA with my first name is no big deal?
No, it's a lot of times the middle name becomes the first name because, every time you apply for credit,
Gotcha.
there's somebody that you're filling out an application, you're putting employer, all that information goes into your credit file. And somebody's putting that information into your credit file. So imagine how many mistakes there are. People, they misspell, they do it very quickly,
I don't imagine there's an option to opt out.
There is.
Is there really? And just
Well-
say, I don't want my private information out there.
Absolutely, and you should go to, it's called opt-out pre-screen.
Oh, write this down, everybody.
Wait a minute, you're
know this.
not opting out of credit itself. You're opting out of
No.
getting like specials and
You're opting out of
approved deals or whatever.
The bureaus make a lot of money selling your information. Okay, they don't sell it with your name on it, but if you wonder how you get all those free credit offers and all those things in the junk mail, that's where it's coming from, most of it. And they
So they sell information that says the person living at this address, won't tell you their name, but the person living at this address has a good credit score, that kind of stuff?
So what they'll do, they group them into, here's a bunch of good credit people, and you get kind of grouped into it, and then they'll sell that information to certain markets, and then people with bad credit scores, people with BKs, they slice it and dice it every way you could imagine.
And you can opt out of that.
You can opt out of that.
But can you opt out of being in the credit reporting system?
No.
See, that's unfortunate. With privacy rules, you'd think...
yeah.
That's
That's living
allow
off the
that.
grid. That's like Joe in Santan Valley.
Well, sure,
Right.
but yeah, exactly.
Cut it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Even
sorry.
then, there's 210 million credit files in the U.S. That's about how many people adults, right, that are in the U.S. So pretty much most people have a credit file. Even kids sometimes we see.
Yeah.
5 years old, they have a credit file.
How does that happen? Just by mistake
by
or?
mistake, yeah. It gets messed up.
Well, I have mixed feelings on it. I think it is unfortunate that we have a society where privacy is disregarded so that people can so people can borrow money. Because that's the only reason, right? Really?
Exactly. And
We have this
unfortunately,
thirst
your
for borrowing
FICO
money.
score has become, almost a monopoly if you think about it, right?
It has.
It's
I
pretty
mean, there's 3
powerful.
credit bureau companies, but they all operate off the same set of rules, basically.
Right, and it's FICO is a separate company. Fair Isaacs is the company that controls the algorithm.
Oh, yes, of course, because there are other companies, I understand,
Right.
that compete with FICO, but nobody uses their scores.
Exactly. So all the credit scores out there that you see that are like you get these little pop-ups and stuff like get your credit report for free. Okay, pay for the score, but whatever. $15 you get your credit report. Those are actually what we call the entire group of them in the industry we call FACO scores.
FACO scores.
There's FICO and then there's FACO.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
the FICO scores are actually branded algorithms like Beacon 5. Each bureau has their own brand and has a little bit different twist on it. One might weight a collection higher than another, etc. Okay, but those are the only scores that a lender for mortgage will look at.
How about for other things like a car loan?
Car loan, they do pull FICO, but it's a different. Usually they'll just do a one bureau pull, and that one's a little more flexible. But mortgage FICO, it has to be the actual FICO scores. So the problem with that is, so Experian developed their own algorithm. Okay, because by law now, since 2003, they've had to give people their credit reports and scores. Okay, they didn't used to have to do that before then. So they developed their own algorithm. They said, well, if we have to do it, let's make some money off of it, right? So they developed, for example, Vantage Score. Vantage Score ranges like 500 or 550 to 950. So you could go pull your credit report, not understanding that it has nothing to do with FICO.
Oh, really?
And you have a 700 and you really have a 600.
I don't think most people know that.
No.
Yeah.
And all the algorithms are different because we see consumer reports versus FICO reports all the time. And they can be, I've seen more than 100 points off, but and there's no rhyme or reason. It could be TransUnion is higher, Experian's lower for one person.
Bad typers.
I don't know. It's their algorithm.
Right, mistakes.
Sure.
It's really that the bureaus have created their own algorithm, just like FICO has its secret algorithm that's in the safe somewhere. Okay, well, each of the bureaus have their own. There's probably 100 different scoring algorithms out there, so they're all different.
What about insurance companies? Do they still pull your credit? Do they use FICOs also?
They do. They don't use FICO. They have like a 1 through 9, they have it's a different system, just like businesses have Paydex, and they all have their own little.
But do they get it from the 3 credit bureaus?
Yes, yeah. The bureaus supply all of those things, depending on, and they market it and they package it specifically for each industry.
I see.
So.
Mm-hmm. So when somebody comes to you to improve their credit scores, they're not just improving a FICO score, they're improving the 3 credit bureau scores and how it's fed into FICO, so they're improving
in car insurance,
multiple scores.
Yeah, it improves across the board. If everything that credit affects unfairly, or fairly.
Depending on which side of how you're looking at it.
Yeah,
yes.
Depends on how you look at it.
I am an entrepreneur, so I have people at times that owe me money and that I lend money to and things like that. So I can understand the importance of checking someone's credit. I understand that. But I also understand those who feel like all privacy is just thrown out the window and you're just burying your life. I mean, if you've ever gotten a loan for a mortgage, I mean, you're in a title company. You see those stacks of papers that have to be filled out.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you want to buy a car and all of a sudden they know that you have a Victoria's Secret account or something, right? I mean, why do they need to know that,
everything
Joe?
About you.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did. No, so I understand exactly what Mark's saying over there is that they see everything. Do they really need to see everything?
But it is a good idea, by the way, to go to optoutprescreen.com.
So at least do that. It doesn't help.
Do that.
It doesn't get you out of the system, but it stops your information
stops the
from being
junk mail. I have
sold.
like a whole packet of what stops junk mail. There's a lot of steps you can take, but the biggest one is optoutprescreen.com, and then I think it opts you out for 5 years, and then you have to do it again.
Gotcha.
So.
Now I've got my credit frozen.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Credit frozen?
A few years
by
ago.
the IRS?
No, I froze my credit. I'll tell you how you did it. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, man, you didn't tell me about these problems.
I was in Hawaii on a business trip, and I was in a rental car. I had my briefcase in there, and we concluded our business, and we were going to lunch. So I put my briefcase in the car, and we walked across the street to get something to eat, plate lunch, teriyaki chicken and rice or whatever. And the car got broken into, and my briefcase was stolen with my passport, credit cards, everything. No. So I learned, immediately, 12-pack of beer was bought and gas was bought on my credit card. Right. Stopped everything. Stuff got overnighted to me. But I froze with my police report.
Freeze. Yes, you need a police report, by the way. Yep. Anybody who gets their identity stolen, step 1. Yep. Actually, you go to the FTC. You can go to the FTC website, and they give you it's called an FTC identity theft affidavit.
Right.
And they can walk you through some of the
steps.
Yes,
and you use that for all the 3 bureaus.
Exactly.
And then I froze it. So now I've got a PIN number to use. So if I go buy a car or go buy something, they can't pull my credit. So if somebody finds my wallet or ID or whatever, they can't apply for new credit. It's frozen.
Is the only way you can freeze it is with a police report if your credit has been, or if your identity has been stolen? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, you can.
I can't just opt in to freeze mine on my own.
Right, but you can.
I think that's horrible. I think everybody should be able to do it if they want to.
That's what the caller just asked. He said, "Can I freeze my credit because I know I'm getting ready to go through a divorce and it's going to be rough on my credit? Can I freeze it and then unfreeze it when everything's
it doesn't freeze.
Doesn't
like
work that way.
Yeah, like you can't
No.
go delinquent because it's frozen and nobody knows about it. We're talking about freezing the ability to add new credit cards or take out a loan or what have you.
It prevents the person who stole the identity from opening new lines
Correct.
of credit
Correct.
in your name.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's
but-
associated with your Social Security number, so somebody couldn't just, for example, I know that sometimes the illegal aliens will just make up Social Security numbers to create cards, or they buy them from a market that does that, actually.
Right.
It would stop that if yours happens to be one that somebody's trying to use in that way. It would
Yes.
stop it as
And
well.
I unfreeze mine maybe once a year for something. Like if I go out and buy a new car, I unfreeze it. It costs like $5. I do it on my phone. I call it up or whatever. I enter all my PIN numbers. It takes several minutes. It's a pain in the butt.
It does freeze.
Yeah.
It freezes anyone from looking at your credit.
Forever?
Right. No.
That is awesome.
I think it's 5. Well,
No, you can
until you unfreeze it.
Yes. So forever until you use your PIN number to unfreeze it for something. Like you're going to buy a car or
But
buy
then
a house.
does it freeze back up after that?
What's cool about that is you can unfreeze it for 5 days, 7 days, or 30 days.
Okay, that is wonderful.
So it's a great thing, and it should be available to everybody.
We keep getting calls in, and they won't come on the air. So
I didn't even ask that time.
Let me encourage callers that call in to get on the air and ask your questions on the air, so all of our listeners can listen to your questions.
And the phone number is 480-745. Oh, I almost had it right then.
1033.
There you go.
Say it again, Joe.
480-745-1033.
All right. So call in with your questions. So it sounds like it's a good idea to have your identity stolen. So that's probably a pretty good idea.
So you can get it frozen.
Yeah, that's
Right, so you can get it frozen. Well, because I didn't think of that. My wife's credit, if you will, has been stolen a couple of times, I believe, because all of a sudden we'd get charges on her credit card from gas pumps in California or whatever, and we immediately call the bank and we get them reversed, and we run through that. But we've never thought of saying, okay,
go to the
let's
credit
call the
bureaus.
police, get a police report filed that somebody in California is using our identity, and then we can freeze it. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, and you basically can freeze it from anybody accessing your credit file.
All right, I'm looking forward to
You
somebody
have to
stealing my
approve it.
identity again.
That sucks.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, because every time they've done it to my wife, it's been twice so far, we've been able to reverse everything.
You steal mine and I'll steal yours.
No. I tell you, Joe, you steal Tom's, Tom, you steal Joe's. There, then I'll represent both of you.
Who's going to steal Dawn's?
And I'll represent both of you as you're in jail figuring this stuff out.
Oh, great. Was that out loud?
All right. Back to rebuilding credit. So if somebody has had a short sale, well, first of all, they're contemplating. Do I do a foreclosure and walk away?
Right.
Do I do a short sale? Or do I do a bankruptcy? And the questions, forget all the other legal ramifications. Just focus on
The
credit.
credit aspect.
Yeah.
From a credit point of view, I think a short sale is better, not because, it'll have the same impact on your score. Okay, it's going to have the same impact. Initially, it'll have the same hit to your score. But the waiting periods for mortgages, if you want to purchase again, are typically shorter with a short sale than they are with a foreclosure. Also, we have a program where we can basically remove short sale or foreclosure really out of all the databases. So it'll be out of Experian, TransUnion,
How do you get that off?
Equifax, and CoreLogic.
Yeah, because if it really happened, how do you remove it? So it really happened. So the credit bureaus are out there for everybody to see. So other companies like car companies, mortgage companies can make a valid decision on whether or not they should lend to you at 3.5% versus 10% on the rate. You delete something that should really truly be there. We're not talking about a mistake. We're talking about something that's really there.
That's the question. So what the law says is that it should be accurately reported. You know how many mortgages we see accurately reported? None.
So in other words, the challenge is that at the foreclosure, during that process, the company foreclosing reports mistakes, meaning they don't report it accurately. It's inaccurate reporting.
Yeah, and some are more egregious than others. Some they're reporting anti-deficiency balances. Some they're reporting.
Yes, I'll bet that
70,
happens a lot.
A lot, because the debt gets sold to a collection agency that's in wherever.
Oh yeah,
they don't care about the state law.
I can tell you, they call my office, and then the client has to pay me, couple $100
Yeah.
to get them to go away, and yeah, that's unfortunate, quite frankly.
Yeah,
but they at least can clean it off their credit.
They can, and the thing is, so we see a lot of errors. I mean, there's a lot. Anything mortgages. There's
How long should they wait after a short sale to come see you?
Well, with this program, it could be a day. It could be
so after the home is sold to come see you. So what you're saying is the short sale itself is accurate, but the way it's reported up to the point of short sale, you can erase that?
Well, usually it's typically all the reporting. If you look at all the Metro 2 is the way that a data furnisher reports to the bureaus. Okay, there are thousands of fields, and they're all coded. And if you look at how a short sale should be reporting, how a foreclosure should be reporting, and you look at I think we assess about 20 different attributes of the reporting that we're looking for, and there's always either information missing or information that is incorrect. Some of it's correct, so the correct stuff we don't worry about, and then the stuff that's incorrect, we identify it. And then we will basically, and what we found is through our regular process, which is the letters are going to come from the consumer, you just hit a brick wall at some point because on mortgages. We've seen it in the last 8 months or so. It's been much, much more difficult. They're not cooperating. They won't remove the deficiency balance. They won't, they're just, it's frustrating.
Do you have to litigate to get that off of there then?
So
you have to go to court?
This is what we decided. The program that we have is basically litigation. So we will, we identify the errors. Then we will do a demand letter. Okay, and this is from an attorney, demand letter. Then and then usually they will not respond because they never do, or they will ignore it. Okay, do one more letter, and then that's probably 30 to 60 days has gone by. Then we will file in small claims court, and we will sue them for $1. And the reason we sue them for $1 is because we don't want any resistance to it. There's no upside for them. It's a short sale. It's a foreclosure. There is no. I mean, the first thing we check actually is if there is a legitimate deficiency balance. If it was a HELOC that was purchased or was not purchased money, for example. So that's the first thing we're checking. Okay, there's no deficiency balance out there. There's no chance or issue that this is going to be debt that's actually owed. And then when we sue, it's basically $1, and the bank says, to show up in small claims court is going to be a couple $1,000s. They're not, why would they do it?
So they just allow the default.
They allow the default. We have to have a case. We have to have a good case that actually shows that there are inaccuracies, and because the judge won't rule, that we won't get the judgment. What we're doing is getting a judgment. Then we send that judgment which says this reporting must be revised, either revised to be paid as agreed and no errors in it, or revised to be removed. And then we send that to TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, and all the mortgage databases, MERS, Cavers, CoreLogics. Yeah, they all take it off.
They do?
Yeah.
And could you just sneak in a sentence that says punitive damages and get $9,998 in punitive damages each time?
Do you know what? This is
because you can go up to $10,000 in small claims. So.
Well, no, small claims.
Oh, small claims.
Yeah,
$2,500, right.
$2,500.
Justice court is $10,000.
Exactly.
So you could go up to $2,400 and whatever.
And that's what we've been doing.
Oh, have you been asking for punitives up to that?
We have clients that, they're.
And do you get that?
Well, typically we negotiate that, and then what we tell the client is, you're not this is not about you getting $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever. It's about the credit. That's what it's about. Because typically we will use that, and they do. The statutory damages are $1,000 to $2,500 per incident. Okay, so the attorneys will go through and identify.
Fair Debt Collections Practices Act that you go for? Is that what you go for?
A lot of times it's a Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Yeah, so it's about your credit reporting. Fair Debt Collection Practices is more about
when it's sold off.
Illegal phone calls at 79 out of 10, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Which we still, a lot of times that is also included, but it'll add up to somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. Then they go to justice court. So but then you're creating, it's $5,000 to $10,000, so it's cost benefit analysis, right, for the bank. So we took that away. There's no benefit, so it's basically cost. No incentive. Yeah.
So you could save somebody literally thousands and thousands of dollars in the future by having lower interest rates, removing that stuff.
Right.
So anybody who's had a short sale in the last year or two, really behooves them just to get a free consultation, right?
Yeah, sure. And we can.
They are free, right?
They are
did
free.
Just make that up, did I?
No.
Okay.
She said that earlier.
Yeah, she did. Cool.
Yeah, they're always free.
So you contact
We
Dawn.
give you a lot of advice, too, things you can do yourself.
All right, Dawn, give them your information. We're going to take a break right after that. So give them your information. How would they get a hold of you if they want to get a free consultation?
Well, we're located in Tempe, and it's Go Clean Credit, and our phone number is 480-991-4885.
Okay, and then you have a website for them to browse around?
GoCleanCredit.com.
Okay. Everybody join us after the break. We're going to get into more information about how you clean up your credit after you've had your knees skinned up a little bit and get back on your financial feet. Thank you. This is Mark Winsor and Tom Diller. Radio worth watching. Come back right after the break.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your way. Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051. Why is it so hot in this room, yet cold in other rooms? There's got to be a solution.
You need to call the company For Your Comfort, servicing residential and commercial AC, heating, refrigeration, and low temp. For Your Comfort LLC is the company that makes you comfortable. We provide same-day and emergency service. Everything from system checkups, repairs, installation, and air quality. We also take care of manufacturer warranty, repairs, commercial ice machines, walk-ins, and much more. We can assess your air quality and find solutions to make your home or business more efficient and comfortable. That's our goal. Licensed, insured, bonded, and NATE certified. For Your Comfort LLC is ready for your call. 480-882-2048.
Because of the company For Your Comfort, my home is now cool and comfortable. Thank you so much. You were fast and friendly.
What did I tell you? For Your Comfort, the solution to your AC issues. 480-882-2048.
JoJo.
Was that JoJo on? See, you just got to time everything right. Welcome back to the Mark Winsor Show with Tom and JoJo.
Sorry about that.
No, and Don McCrae. We're very McCraw. With Go Clean Credit. Grateful to have you on. We're talking about how people can clean up their credit, and we talked about a lot of fun issues before the break. Again, the question that gets asked a lot is, all right, we've been through a bad thing. We've had a short sale. We've had a foreclosure. We've had a bankruptcy, whatever. And by the way, we didn't address, you compared short sales to foreclosures, that a short sale's faster. What most people don't realize is that a bankruptcy is faster to clean up than avoiding bankruptcy most of the time.
That's a very good point, because we see bankruptcies all the time. And okay, so every bankruptcy on the credit report, and I'm saying every 99.99% of them are reported incorrectly. The reason why, and there's a $45 million lawsuit that the 3 bureaus are settling for $45 million. That is about that very thing. That they were supposed to revise their software back in 2003. It would basically cross-check. It would make sure that the bankruptcies were reported correctly. Well, they never implemented that. So what happens is maybe for one bureau, it's still reporting as a charge-off, and this collections reporting, and it doesn't say included in bankruptcy. Then also, even when it's included in bankruptcy, it'll have included in bankruptcy, but it'll show maybe a balance, which is very egregious, or it'll show late payments. It'll show
Afterwards,
the charge-off.
after the bankruptcy,
And
right?
FICO has no intelligence. It basically goes, it just adds them up. Ding, 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 ding. So you could have 5 things on one account. It really should just be a bankruptcy and wipe all that stuff off. So even just restating your bankruptcy will help you. I'm doing that for one client right now.
And what does it cost? So somebody does a bankruptcy. What does it cost for them then to come in and clean up their credit afterwards?
Well, it depends on how many accounts they have, and like if it's so there's 2 different answers.
Most of my clients, it would be a lot would be the answer to that.
A lot of accounts.
Sure.
So it's up to 10 accounts is $795.
Okay.
So basically to go after those, and we'll do sort of custom pricing when it's something like restating a bankruptcy. I think the guy that I'm working with right now has 33 BK accounts, but I'm addressing it all at once because we're not trying to remove any of the BK. We're trying to restate it correctly so that it happened in 2009.
Oh yeah.
It's reporting in 2011. It
shouldn't.
And
right.
it shouldn't. Okay, so restating it, moving it back to 3 years, the more time you put between that event, and I got to say this because your question was about BK can even be faster. And that is true. As a rule of thumb, what I see many, many, many times I've seen, many, is people who had a BK, if you make all your payments on time from that point forward, and you establish new credit, you have to at least get a secure card or something.
Okay, so that's the point everybody needs to understand. You got it. You must establish new credit. That's an important point
just
for
go
them.
get a secure card somewhere.
Otherwise, the ball doesn't start rolling again, so you stay stuck at that score that you were at, or is still the time, the history away from the event?
It still gets better, but if you do that, if you pay everything on time and you get new credit, you will be over 700 in 2 years. I mean, without doing anything.
There's a difference between a 650, 660 or something like that and 700.
Right.
It's not unlike we look at those new credit, those new young people who are establishing credit and they wonder why they can't get a loan because they have no credit history.
Right.
And that's a problem. So they've got to get a parent to co-sign or something to start some loans going to establish credit. Same concept that if you do a bankruptcy, wipes everything out, then you have nothing to report. For example,
you have no credit.
You're
like no credit.
And people don't understand this. They say, yeah, but I have my car.
It does,
right there, I've got my car payment from before bankruptcy. They think that.
So here's a rule.
And what's the challenge?
The rule is FICO loves revolving. Revolving means credit cards. That is what they can associate. Their algorithms are all tuned around not having a car loan that you're paying down at a fixed amount every month, but how you manage credit limit and paying it down and using it. Okay, because so FICO is all about that. You have to have a revolving trade line, positive revolving trade line, even to get over 700 ever.
So I've got a question for you. You said last time you were out, what to do is if you have somebody who you can go ahead and have you put on their credit card, like if your father has unbelievable credit.
Oh, authorized user.
So as an authorized user, but if that happens and you do that, does that then also, since you're an authorized user and you're getting the credit because you're making the payments, does that also show, say it's a $15,000 or $20,000 card, does that also show then against what you... Is that $20,000 directly against your?
No, because the $20,000 is available credit. What hits you is the balance. Okay, so there's the rule of thumb, or I keep saying rules, don't I? But it's basically if you're going to get become an authorized user on someone's card, they should have balance below 10%. Below 10% of the credit limit. Okay. So you want, because that.
So if it's a $10,000 card, you want it less than $1,000.
Yeah, it's like 30% of your score is that ratio. You want that ratio to be good.
Wow.
It's a big impact on your score. So, and I'm simplifying, but anyway, you want that. You want perfect payment history, and then the older the card is, the better.
So if some dude's had a card for 5 years and adds you on, will the 5-year history impact your credit score?
exactly like you had it for 5 years.
All right.
And there's a lot of misinformation out there about
Okay,
authorized
good
user
question.
cards.
How
Yeah.
easy it is to become an authorized user? Or can anybody with a card say, I want Joe Bob to be, and you have to be related, living in the same house? Can you have a different address? And like, he's going to be, I'm going to let him sign on my behalf. I'm going to be his authorized user. Or
Well, that's co-signer. But basically,
Sure.
all you would do, you would call the number on the back of your card. Let's say you're adding me. You call the number on the back of the card. You'd give them my social, date of birth, and name, and just say, I want you to mail the card to me. So they would send the card to you, and then you would cut it up. And then
So,
I would
okay, I
never
got
have
it. So you never-
access.
got it, got
I
it.
would never have access to your information, your account.
That's a great little
I'm
loophole. That's a
borrowing-
loophole, right?
But
I mean,
Wow.
it is
It is a loophole.
But you didn't completely answer the question.
I
You
know.
inferred the answer, but you didn't answer the question. Can anybody add anybody else to their credit card as an authorized user?
Okay, yeah, that answer is yes. Anyone can add anyone else. However, only certain banks will report authorized user accounts.
So do you
to
ask
all
and they'll
three
tell you?
bureaus. Usually, a lot of times they won't know. I mean,
So do you know?
yeah, because we've been using.
Can you
them
say
and
which
testing-
ones or say what that rhymes with?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, there's Cap One, B of A, and B of A has 10 authorized user slots actually.
Okay.
This is
So somebody
interesting.
can make money, $10 a month, $100 a month, whatever. I'll put you on as authorized user if you just
Yeah,
pay.
what's
Mark just
the
came up with a new
holdback?
business.
So call in, please, and Mark Windsor will sign you up tonight.
Yeah, we
The first 10 callers.
The first 10 callers.
we,
$1,000 a month.
We actually
There you
work
go.
with a company that is their business. That's what
That's
they do.
No
Oh,
kidding. I
cow.
want a piece of that pie.
Every-
How do people think of those things?
I guess that's the kind of card that you give them, $200 and they put a $200 limit on. It's the same thing, isn't it?
No.
no, in this case, they get no
This
card,
is-
so there's no downside for the
right,
guy
right,
that's signing
gotcha.
off on his
Yeah.
good credit.
By the
Yeah,
way,
It's a good name.
Go
They're
ahead.
borrowing their credit. So the person who's leasing the slots, they just lease them for like 60 days. I mean, with this broker, and they will borrow that credit for 60 days. And I've seen as much as 110 points from one card.
Okay, that is a
Wow.
great.
That's crazy.
This
but-
is radio worth watching. If you learn that one thing, now here's another thing you can learn though, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not. I only know this stuff from hanging around with people like you on my radio show and panels that I talk on and stuff like that. But when you get what Joe described was a secured credit
Yes.
card, and not all of those report to the credit bureau.
Exactly.
So you got to make sure not only. And I had one, by the way. Let me tell you a story. I've told this one once before on this show. I had one through. Now it's been a while. Capital Bank now has it. Oh rats! Who was it? They're out of business. They went out of business because you paid a $79 fee the first year, and then no annual fee. That's why I chose them. And I put money in there, and then I got a letter a couple of years later saying we're being bought out, and our fees are going to increase, and we're going to have annual fees. But you can opt out. So I opted out. I said send me my balance, and cancel the card.
Right.
They sent the balance. They said they canceled the card, but then the next month I get a statement with $1
no.
something on it of,
Oh, my
of
gosh.
charges and no phone number to call.
We see that a lot.
They can't get a hold of them. And so I send in letters, nothing happens. I'm still battling that a year and a half later.
Are you
Oh yeah,
kidding
it's
me?
like $2 and something with interest now. It's $2 and something or $3 and something.
You need to call Don.
Something.
we
I'm not
see-
going to pay
She'll take care of
$7. Again,
No,
I
it
don't
only-
care that much
You'll
about
get the
credit.
friends
I'm
and
not
family
paying
discount. You'll get the discount.
$700 to get those morons to go out. I
No,
just
no,
found out that I can
$650.
file.
No,
No,
it
no,
would
she's
be-
going to charge you $650.
Actually, for 3 trade lines or less, it's $3.95.
All right, so
There you go.
$3.95. But I only owe them $3
Deal.
something, and I found out I can
Yeah.
now file in the justice or in the small claims court.
Exactly.
And I can then put punitive damages on of a couple thousand.
file
whatever.
in justice court.
See,
and
I'm an attorney. I can figure that stuff out.
I can send you some.
Yeah, I've just been
Some-
busy. It's just one of those little burrs under your skin.
But we see it a lot. We see that where people, especially like DirecTV or T-Mobile or there's equipment somehow it never gets
Somebody doesn't
communicated.
turn in their cable box,
I didn't write it.
and it's wrong.
but they report it and then it gets sold off to a collection agency or assigned to a collection agency.
It's a
to collect,
joke.
and
And
it's
those people really care.
very frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke. So one of these days when I have time, I'll file a little court action and. Those little $3 things, they're just
annoying.
annoying. And I don't need. I don't know why I would need credit per se. Just annoying that somebody's out.
Tom might know a guy who'd go beat him up for you.
There you go.
Absolutely. He was on the
Sweet.
show last week.
And that's a good point about, you really, why do you need credit? What do you need it for?
Yeah, I don't.
I think, and you probably don't. I mean, it's only really, I think, people who are buying a house, because you can go to different car dealers and get these different, not title loans. God forbid, please don't do that. Those kinds of payday loans, don't do that. But there are ways you can get money. But a house is really, I think, the reason unless you have a lot of money to pay cash.
Let's take this question real quick. Stacy Maz. If your spouse stops making payments on his or her credit, will that affect your credit?
Yes, absolutely. And so even we get a lot of people who've gone through divorce, and
but only if they're joint. Only if they're joint on it, right? In other words, let's clarify that. So it depends. Now, give the situation where it will and will not impact.
Okay, so when you are both co-signers, or if you're authorized user, it doesn't matter. That person
does
can
not
remove
impact.
You.
So you got that clear?
So if it's a hidden account that your spouse doesn't know about, it's not going to affect them.
Or even if you know, but you didn't sign on the bottom line, you're just an authorized user.
If you're an authorized user, you want to get yourself removed, because that derogatory credit is now going to be your credit, and it will
on
impact
that particular card.
On that particular card.
Okay.
So you get yourself
on that
removed.
card, if you are an authorized user, or if you are a signer on it, it will impact you.
Right, but authorized user, very easy. You just make a phone call and you get yourself off.
And
of
then
it.
the credit goes off.
And then the whole trade line goes off.
I see, including the lates and everything.
But when you're co-signers,
that's good to know.
When you're, the lates, exactly. We see a lot of people come in and it's like their negative accounts are authorized user. We're like, well, that's easy. You just contact the bank. They cannot keep it on your report.
I did not.
There's some real downsides to that too.
Yeah.
What the authorized user?
If you're an authorized. Say you it would almost be like a co-signer, but if you're an authorized user and you purchase a vehicle, and somebody lets you do that, you can call up and just get yourself off that and leave them with the payments, right?
Yeah, there are people that do that. I mean, you can't really become an authorized user on a car loan, but you could on a credit card. We've seen that, or lines of credit, and people walk away. But the person, whoever is the main person on it, the primary, will get hit with everything. If they've just loaned it to you to say, okay,
Oh, yeah, I see that a lot. In fact, I even see co-signers who think, well, I'll co-sign, and then years goes by, 2 years, 3 years goes by, and then the person who borrowed the money defaults, and the co-signer, or not the co-signer, the guarantor, doesn't even know about it per se.
Well, you have to pull your credit report.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they find out they're getting trashed over it.
Yeah.
So the bottom line to that answer is, if you're associated with that account in any way, so your spouse has a credit card, if you're either an authorized user or a co-signer, it'll impact you.
Right, except authorized user, it's easy.
You can
it's really
take it off, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not associated with it at all, it does not impact you.
It does not impact you. And I want to just mention that a divorce decree does nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
I hope everybody understands that, because I get that question a lot as well.
Yeah, we get it all the time. They think,
in fact, we'll have one spouse.
He took the house, and I took the car, and then the house goes into foreclosure. Well, you have a foreclosure too, because you were joint on that loan, on that mortgage.
Right.
So that's
the only thing that does make a difference is the death certificate. If it's your death certificate, then you don't have to worry anymore. Right, Mark?
So now you know the Joe's way of cleaning up your credit.
Kill them all.
I don't recommend that at home.
Yeah.
All right, foreclosures. Let's go back to that in bankruptcies. Another question that I get a lot is they're going into foreclosure in their home, and they have other challenges, so we file a bankruptcy.
Right.
But the home has not yet foreclosed. We file the bankruptcy, and then it forecloses after the bankruptcy.
Right.
Will they have both a foreclosure and a bankruptcy on their credit?
So they're not supposed to. It's supposed to be included in bankruptcy, because it basically is included in the bankruptcy.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
They listed it on the schedules.
They
the
don't
death
own
is
it.
being discharged.
They don't own that.
See, that's good to know. See,
non-title.
I've gotten mixed answers.
No.
And when I did legal research, I got mixed answers in legal research.
I agree with you, and I went to a seminar actually on just bankruptcy reporting, and
so could
it's hard to find the pieces of law, because you have to look at U.S. bankruptcy law.
Yes.
And
I did research, and my conclusion was it's a gray area of law. Was my conclusion.
Yeah.
So what's the impact? I mean, the impact certainly the foreclosure after the bankruptcy.
Huge.
It's
right,
huge.
right.
Huge.
You can't buy for 7 years or whatever it is now. 5 years.
If you try to go for a loan, desktop underwriting, the
Right.
automated underwriting,
Shoot you
it's
down.
going to go.
Yeah.
But here's why it's a big deal. I have clients who file bankruptcy, and the properties, they'll have multiple, sometimes one or two or three, that they're letting go in the bankruptcy, and the lenders drag their feet on the foreclosure. So
Yep.
not only are they paying HOA and having all those post-bankruptcy hassles, but they don't have the foreclosure until a year and a half, 2 years later, and the clock starts ticking again on them. And so now what we're finding out, listeners, I'm telling you, get a hold of Dawn at GoCleanCredit.com. Let's get over there, because what they do is they can set that clock back to the bankruptcy
Right.
clock of 2 years, right?
And
2 years from the
And it's
bankruptcy.
huge, because what you don't want to have happen is it's a year after the bankruptcy, and then you've got a foreclosure.
Yeah.
Now the clock is set for that foreclosure, not the bankruptcy.
For 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's huge.
Because there's a big difference if it wasn't included in the bankruptcy. But if it's included in the bankruptcy, if the foreclosure happened later, it doesn't matter. It's not a it's not connected to you. You've already wiped everything out with the bankruptcy.
All right. So I'm starting to understand a little bit. They come to you. They find out what their current situation is. They get rid of things that are clear mistakes. Then they start working on getting a credit line, or they start working on doing things that will improve. So
Right.
what things, besides getting a credit card, what other, which by the way is pathetic. I can just tell you that's a pathetic thing in our country, that if you want a
It
better
is.
credit score, you got to go get debt, because I'm against debt. So
Right.
I think it's pathetic.
So, and we tell people it's not about credit. It's not about using it. It's all it is to get a trade line reporting on your
So they could pay
credit
off the
report.
credit card every month.
Pay it off every month.
Use it, pay it, use it, pay it, use
buy
it, pay
gas. Just buy gas. So you get a payment
pay it off every
history.
month.
After a year, you'll have really great payment history.
And I heard somebody say on a panel discussion once, you have to have 5 trade lines to get back up into the 700s. Is that true?
I would say 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Yeah,
3 to 5 trade lines.
Yeah, you want to have at least 3.
And when we say trade lines, for our listeners, what does that mean?
It means if you look at your credit report, you'll see one account, like B of A, and it's going to be reporting to all 3 bureaus, okay, and most of the time. That is one trade
So
line.
Bank of America credit card.
That's one trade line. A car loan, another trade line.
House
Now-
loan?
Now we'll see. Yeah.
Can you
Each
get,
one.
how about if you're renting, can you get your landlord to report?
They are starting to do that this year. It's in a like a beta test phase. I think 2 million
Okay.
credit reports. They're doing that. So eventually it will probably get there.
And how about if,
But,
how do you, I think this is an interesting question I've never asked anybody. As the lender, how do I become a reporter?
Oh yeah, that's a crazy process.
Is it?
Oh yeah. It's you have to be CDIA trained. CDIA is the association. There's basically you have to apply with all the bureaus, and one guy could turn you down, another guy, the other two might.
So you apply to be able to
apply
report.
To be able to report, and you have to go through quite a screening process where they will.
So
go
it's not
on-site
any
visits.
joke.
Oh no.
So I couldn't just say I want to loan money to my daughter and I want to report to the credit bureau.
No. There's,
Well, you never.
there's
I didn't know.
There's quite
Yeah.
a bit to it, but that's why even so, what we're seeing a lot now is the mortgages that are getting sold off into the secondary market are being bought by essentially the defaulted ones, by debt collectors that are sort of disguised as servicers. Okay, a lot of those guys, they don't report at all. So now people are making payments every month, and sometimes I talked to actually a person who works for one of those companies today, and she said, yeah, we had a guy for 3 years. He made payments on time all the time. It wasn't reporting to his credit at all.
Pathetic.
It's bad, yeah.
We got another call in, Joe.
And this guy, I can see why I didn't want to go on, because it doesn't sound legit whatsoever to me. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. Marty from Phoenix. Marty from Phoenix said that he had the most horrible credit that anybody's ever had, and he was turned on to getting a new EIN number, in which he uses now for his Social Security number, and now he bought a new house after 6 months, and his credit is perfect. Like a new identity.
That is one of the things, that practice right there, that has given credit repair companies a bad name. There was a period where credit repair companies were doing exactly that. It's totally wrong.
What's an EIN number?
I mean, is it legitimate?
Employer identification.
Is it actually
number.
legit?
Let's find out what the question "is it legit" means. First of all,
Right.
Can you get an
EIN?
employer identification number? Yes.
It just doesn't sound right.
Can you build credit for that employer identification number? Yes. Can you get a loan and represent to the lender that all of your credit history is under this new number? That is called fraud.
Right.
Aha.
So here's the difference. An EIN,
Lender fraud.
An EIN
Wow.
is for a business. So can you? So I could have my personal credit. Okay, typically a small business is you have to be a personal guarantor. You can't get credit and just in the name of the business, because then if the business folds, then they don't get any money, right? So you have to be the personal guarantor. You can establish business credit. You get an EIN. Actually we have a program we're going to be launching to help people establish business credit and get funding for small businesses, and it will do that. It's a whole different system. It reports to Dun & Bradstreet. It's Equifax and Experian as well, but it's a Paydex. It's not a FICO score. It's a Paydex.
Yeah, and so if you represent to a lender that's your personal number, that's called fraud.
Right.
All day long.
It's not your personal credit.
Now there's also tax identification numbers that also have a place. TINs we call those, and that also you can. Some people can get that, but if you use it and represent it to be your Social Security number, that's fraud all day long.
Wait a minute. So does it look like a Social Security number? Because it seems to me the lender would certainly
why would
say,
they think it was?
Yeah, the lender would say, cool, EIN, all right, you look good there, but let me see your Social Security number.
He might be giving a TIN.
He's probably thinking of a TIN, actually.
So is the TIN similar to a Social Security
And
number?
I might have heard it wrong.
Yes.
I mean,
he's probably thinking a TIN.
Yeah.
I'm looking at mine. No, EINs are different, are formatted differently.
So a lender would not or could not know the difference between a TIN or EIN or whatever it is in your Social Security number.
They should know the difference between an EIN and a Social Security
EIN,
number.
Okay, so the TIN.
Yes, but TIN they may not.
They may not, I guess.
it's the same way.
I don't deal a lot with TINs. The only reason I deal with them some is we have an immigration law practice, and that is many times the number that foreign nationals use to pay taxes here.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm familiar with it.
It's interesting that there's always somebody that calls in with a scam.
Well,
I mean, you know.
Even
well, he may not have known it's a scam, so maybe this is news that's opening his eyes. Like, what? But he got a house. So why at this point, why should he care?
Well, I hope you didn't buy your house in Florence, Marty. Or if you did, it's closed.
Oh, but it's just like even for we remove a foreclosure. That doesn't mean if you were going for a conventional loan and you fill out the 1003 and they ask you the question, have you had a foreclosure in the last 7 years? Well, the answer is yes. You can't say no because it's fraud. Okay, so
you can write none of your business, but you probably won't get the loan.
Your privacy thing.
Yeah, but you won't get the loan.
But you won't get the loan.
People always ask me that in short sales and everything. Do we have to disclose? My question is, if they ask the question, you either have to disclose or tell them you're not going to disclose. And if you tell them you're not going to disclose,
what if you disclose in the beginning that you're a liar?
Your jail term is shorter.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
But the thing is, you can go after FHA, and because there are other loans that don't ask you that question. Okay, and then what the data? Yeah, because in a foreclosure. In the state of Arizona, it's reported to the public record. So there is a public record of that foreclosure. So the reason that all these databases, mortgage databases exist, MERS, CoreLogic, LoanSafe, Cavers, all of those are to compile all that data. Okay, because if you were actually trying to look for public records, I mean, it's easy in Maricopa County, you know where to go. Try looking in other states. The public records are not easy to find.
I've tried that. It is hard.
They all have
even some of our counties.
So
that's why we remove it from the databases. We're not actually removing the public record.
Unless you're president of the United States. I can't.
Yeah.
I know a guy who just bought a house. Well, about 7 months ago, and although I don't talk to him anymore, I know that he photoshopped his tax records and got a house, which is absolutely amazing to me.
Lender fraud.
Don't you have to fill out a form to send in or something like that?
My question was, isn't that the same thing as what this guy's doing? If they ever default or they're late and the bank checks it out, they could find that. These people would go to prison, wouldn't they?
Well, I personally wouldn't. I would be totally petrified to do something like that.
How could you sleep at night knowing that? I mean, my God. No way.
Well, I can't.
I have clients ask me all the time when they're formatting a question that basically says, "Can I lie?"
Right.
They ask me how will they find out? The bankruptcy trustee, the FBI. How will they find out? And my response is always, it doesn't matter how they might find out. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter.
But
we do what is right. Well, and here's how I've had clients get in trouble that have ignored me or came to me after it was too late. They got caught in a net where the investigators were going after some big perpetrator, right? Somebody who's doing it a lot of times.
Right.
And when they find that person, they take that person's records of
And they
everything.
get- right.
For example, recently there was a CPA, well, recently, I guess it's been a number of years now, but a CPA who was doing shady bookkeeping for people's tax returns.
Was his name Glenn?
What was his name? It'll come to me in a minute.
Seriously,
It was
in Mesa.
in Mesa, yeah. It was a big deal. His
Absolutely
whole
know
family.
him.
He
He
and
was
his-
doing my taxes.
He and his wife and several others, and his whole
That's how
family.
you got this place.
His whole family not only got busted for it, but all their clients then get audited, right?
Oh, yeah.
And even if the clients were innocent, saying I didn't know, they were audited and they had to pay the difference.
Yeah, that really sucked.
Oh, were you caught in that?
Yeah, that was
nice.
my accountant.
Oh, I was joking. Really?
Yeah, it really
Yeah, I
was.
helped a number of people through with
But
that.
interestingly enough, he is up operating again, no problem.
He went to jail. He's out.
Yeah, he's out. He
So it was a while ago. My time is probably going
It was
too fast.
maybe 4 years ago.
That sounds about right, I guess.
He put his whole practice now in his son's name, and he's working there, still doing
Got a
everything under his
TIN,
son's
got an
name.
EIN, got a house,
His credit's perfect.
drives a Cadillac.
Right.
The guy rocks.
Seriously,
So
it's
the
the truth.
IRS has a
That's crazy.
what do they call that when you get an award or a reward or a finder's fee? Now, what do they call it? When you-
Whistleblower?
They call it a.
Yeah, what do they call that when you call some criminal number and you get someone in trouble? They can
Silent
pay for-
witness.
What the
they
heck
pay
is it
for that.
called?
Well,
Oh my God!
yeah, there is a name.
No, it's not
for
oh
it.
my God.
I can't
Yeah, there
think
used
of
to be those who'd go out and
it.
see
Like a
those-
whistleblower.
Yeah,
We're
it's
all
a
mental.
whistleblower.
No, what's the name?
We're absolutely mental right
All
now.
right,
We
the
can't
first
think of
one
the
that
word.
calls in and with that word of
Oh my gosh!
yeah.
When
We-
you
we
tell
know
on
what you
somebody
mean.
who's doing something illegal and you get
think.
money for
Okay.
it,
You
what's
think.
the word?
We know what you mean, though.
I'm going to start crying right now.
You can finish.
Does
your
anybody know that word?
At 11 o'clock tonight, it's going to hit
Could you
me.
please
Yeah.
give me the word?
Look, Joe's crying. He really is. Look
sick
at his
of-
shirt.
I'm
Look
sick
at his
about
shirt.
it.
It's got stripes in it.
All right.
I'm sorry.
You know, there
Lost my
were
train of
lots.
thought.
Nobody knows.
There were so many
Somebody let
things
us
we
know.
could have talked about. I encourage listeners to spread this show around. There are so many people who want this information. They want to know, how do we clean up our credit? How do we do it right? Spread this link around. Let them listen to this show, and so we can do some good in society and do it right. Do it right.
Mm-hmm.
I always think the answer is to those who are doing it wrong. There is somebody watching you. You know, those of us who believe in Christ, there's somebody watching you. You believe in God, somebody's watching you. If you don't believe in God, your mama's watching you.
What's the word, Mark?
Integrity.
Yo,
be
mama.
honest.
Yeah.
Be honest.
The word's
Yeah.
not reward. It's still bothering me.
Bounty
Yeah.
hunters. What do they call the bounty hunters? That we go
Dog.
after?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, we need to talk about the
Yeah.
event we're going to be having too.
Oh,
so
yes.
if there's a couple seconds to talk about
yeah,
that.
we got 2
Couple
minutes
seconds,
left.
yeah.
June 14th at the Thunderbird School of Management in Glendale, we're having a short sale expert panel with Judy Lowe, the Commissioner of Arizona of Real Estate. We have an esteemed panel, one of which is sitting right here in front of us, Mark Winsor.
Woohoo.
Yep. We have Mary Frances Coleman. We have a
Yeah, she
gentleman
has a
named
lot of experience
Absolutely.
in regulations.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, Paul Valentine, who's a tax attorney.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
And Jim Eckley, who is just a very well known gentleman who's been around forever. Oh, tax? Or you're
Yeah.
joking on the? Here's an attorney joking on the tax guy. So it's the tax guy's telling attorney jokes right now at the bar. So it's a great panel, and we have a bunch of sponsors or co-sponsors that help us bring these types of events to the community. One of which happens to be Don and Go Clean Credit. So I told the sponsors that every Tuesday night I would mention at least one sponsor. So kind of cool. Don's here, so I don't really have to mention her. Besides, they do wonderful work. And I guess the moral of her story is, if you've gone through a foreclosure or bankruptcy or short sale, call her up. It's not going to hurt. It won't hurt to have her at least sit down and talk to you about whether there could be issues and if she could fix those issues and save you thousands of dollars. Because if you pay 6% on a mortgage loan versus 3.5% right now, that's thousands and thousands of dollars in the next 10, 15 years.
And a lot
so.
of times, they can help themselves. I mean, we'll tell
Sure.
them. I mean,
So you give
we
them
won't
tips,
sign
you don't
them
have
up.
to-
We
right.
won't sign them up for
If they
credit
can do it
repair if
themselves.
they can pay down balances.
Right.
And
Right. So
have it-
sometimes you meet with for free a free consultation, and then off they run with the knowledge you give them, and they can fix things.
Yep.
And it's not
it's
just
a karma thing.
It's
you know?
not just
You feel-
it's not just bankruptcy, foreclosure, insurance. It's also divorces.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Job
right.
loss for a
Anything
while.
that could upset your credit.
Yeah,
that's-
somebody's
Yeah.
had job loss for a
Yes.
while, and they're back on their
Yes.
feet now.
And sometimes people just want advice before they, I have option A and option B.
Yeah,
And,
or identity theft.
and
Somebody's taking your identity.
Oh, yeah, we
Right.
get identity theft a lot, actually.
So nothing's wrong with your credit other than somebody's barfed up your
Right.
credit with identity theft.
Sure.
Yeah.
Back to the event.
Yeah, how much does that
again,
cost?
June 14th,
June
$20.
14th.
Anybody related to the real estate
$20
industry,
you say?
$20 pre-register or $30 at the door. The last one sold out completely.
It
this
was
venue.
awesome. I was there. It was an awesome
Wasn't
event.
it fantastic?
Really, really well worthwhile.
They talk about everything you
Really
want to
was.
know about short sale foreclosures that you ever wanted to know. So anybody connected to the industry,
Including carpet cleaners, because they clean
realtors,
carpets in
exactly.
homes, right?
Realtors, investors, lenders, mortgage companies, banks. And we have a major bank sponsor. I won't say who it is right now at this point because I don't think they signed yet. But we have a lot of tremendous. Yeah, I can't say who they are. It rhymes like, but yeah, $20, which is just a bargain, and it ends with a little mixture and networking with the panel of experts. How cool is that? So it's 12:30 to 6 p.m. on June 14th. Contact Joe or Mark on their Facebook, and they'll get the information on how to register for this. Or call Dawn, and she'll tell you how to register
Yes.
for it.
Absolutely.
And the woman that called in said the word was bounty, which is not the word.
I said bounty hunter, so
It's
I
not
was
the
close.
word. Bounty was not the word we're looking for.
A bounty. I think she's right.
If somebody got kidnapped, right, and you said,
Ransom.
I want to ransom. No,
That's
that's, not it.
different.
Come on.
No,
Killing
no.
me.
All right, I think the caller's right. I think it's bounty. So thank you for joining us. Hey, by the way, that special show I did last week, that 4 o'clock show,
Yeah, that was a great show.
I got a lot of comments on that one.
Great show.
Yeah, that was the show. The 5 o'clock one, holy moly. Holy moly.
Watch it if you have time. It's
Well,
rated.
yeah.
It's rated R though, so
It
you can
felt
only
like
watch it. Yeah.
No, the one after that was.
That's
yeah.
where you beat
yeah.
the
You
guy
know
up.
what?
Yeah.
The cancer doctor, the colon cancer doctor,
The prostate guy?
the prostate guy, yeah. He got, well, he's not just a prostate guy, right?
I was wondering why he walked in with gloves on.
He did have
He
gloves.
really did have
He
gloves.
really did have.
He did.
He offered to do
You should have
me
saw me
live
up.
on air.
You should have saw me up on the desk.
No, we
He was
wouldn't allow
eyeing your
that.
nacho machine.
No,
he
what
goes, I
I'm
got my
saying-
gloves. But
You guys are terrible. If my children are watching, we'll talk about this at scripture reading tonight.
Tom, what are you wearing?
going to hell.
Guys, shame on you. I'm just reporting. He got lots of calls. It's been a very exciting
good.
week for him as well. So
He brought in prostates. It was amazing. You could feel
no,
them
yeah,
and
he
everything.
did. Well, I mean,
6 of 'em.
They were fake ones per se, but they felt like real. It was really cool. And she brought in a machine. And
You ever seen a real prostate?
Wow.
They looked real.
glove? And
Like M&Ms? What do they look like, Joe?
A lot like that.
Really? Nice.
anyway, I told him he ought to come back for another show because it was so successful. Of the listeners loved that show so much. So, all right, this is Mark Winsor, Tom Diller, and Joe and Dawn and Go Clean Credit, and thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
It's amazing.
Thank you,
God-
guys.
Good night, everybody.
God bless you.
Thank you for listening and
Thanks.
watching. Good night.
Wow. Edible arrangements. Beautiful, delicious, and delivered right to your door. You won't believe your eyes when you feast upon these beautiful edible gifts.
Located in Queen Creek